My doctor's office called and said, "We need to reschedule your abortion appointment that your husband just canceled." I said, "What abortion? I'm not pregnant." The nurse went quiet. Then, "He was just here with a woman claiming to be you, saying you changed your mind." I felt my blood run cold. I rushed over. The receptionist showed me the sign-in sheet. My husband had brought his mistress using my name and insurance to terminate her pregnancy. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you my story. I was in the middle of a marketing presentation when my phone buzzed. Normally I'd ignore it during work hours, but the caller ID showed Dr. Richardson's office, my OBGYN, and that wasn't something I could ignore. I excused myself from the conference room, stepping into the hallway. "This is Simone Matthews." "Mrs. Matthews, this is Nurse Johnson from Dr. Richardson's office." Her voice sounded tense, professional but strained. "We need to reschedule your abortion appointment that your husband just canceled." I stopped walking. "What abortion? I'm not pregnant. There must be some mistake." A long pause on the line. Too long. "Mrs. Matthews," Nurse Johnson's voice dropped lower. "Your husband Derek was just here. About 30 minutes ago, with a woman. She signed in as you. They said you changed your mind about the procedure." My blood ran cold. "What woman? What are you talking about?" "He used your name, your insurance information, your birth date, everything. The woman with him had identification showing your name." "That's impossible. I'm standing here. I'm me. I didn't authorize." "Mrs. Matthews, I probably shouldn't say more over the phone, but I think you need to come to the office. Right now, we may have a serious identity theft situation on our hands." I barely remember the drive to Dr. Richardson's office. 15 minutes that felt like hours. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what Nurse Johnson had said. Derek was at my doctor's office, with another woman, who was pretending to be me, for an abortion appointment, which meant Derek had gotten another woman pregnant, and they were using my identity and my insurance to terminate the pregnancy. Why wouldn't they use her insurance? Unless she couldn't. Unless there was a reason they needed to hide it. Unless Derek was hiding the entire affair and the pregnancy from everyone, including me. I pulled into the parking lot of the medical building, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Dr. Richardson's office was on the 3rd floor. I'd been coming here for 6 years, ever since I'd gotten married and moved to Atlanta. 6 years of annual checkups, 2 years of fertility consultations, 2 years of disappointment and negative pregnancy tests and being told that sometimes conception just takes time. 2 years of trying to have a baby with my husband, while he was apparently getting someone else pregnant. I took the elevator up, walked into the office on autopilot. The receptionist, Michelle, a young black woman I'd chatted with dozens of times, looked up and her eyes widened. "Mrs. Matthews, Nurse Johnson is expecting you. Let me get her." She disappeared down the hallway, came back a moment later with Nurse Johnson. Nurse Johnson was in her 50s. A black woman with graying locks and a kind face that had always put me at ease during uncomfortable medical procedures. Today, she looked distressed. "Mrs. Matthews, please come with me, we need to talk privately." She led me to a consultation room, not an exam room but a small office where doctors delivered bad news or discussed treatment options. I sat down. My legs wouldn't hold me anymore. "I'm so sorry," Nurse Johnson said, closing the door. "We had no reason to suspect fraud. Your husband had your insurance card. He knew your birth date, your address, your social security number, everything. The woman with him had a driver's license showing your name and photo. Though looking at you now, she looks nothing like you." She pulled out a clipboard. "This is the sign-in sheet from today. That signature, that's not yours, is it?" I looked at the paper. Simone Matthews, written in handwriting that definitely wasn't mine. Rounder, more loopy, younger looking. "No, that's not my signature." And these consent forms for the procedure also forged. She showed me medical forms with that same fake signature scattered across multiple pages. "The procedure was scheduled for this Thursday at 2 p.m. Your husband and the woman claiming to be you came in today to cancel the appointment. They said you'd changed your mind, decided to keep the baby after all. How far along is she?" I heard myself ask. Nurse Johnson checked the file. "According to the intake form you filled out 2 weeks ago, 20 weeks, 5 months. 5 months. I did the math. 5 months ago was February. Derek and I had gone to Miami for our 6th anniversary in February. We'd planned a long weekend, Thursday through Monday, except Derek had a work emergency and couldn't leave until Saturday. Told me to go ahead, He'd join me in 2 days. I'd spent 2 days alone in Miami, waiting for my husband. He'd spent those 2 days with her, getting her pregnant. Mrs. Matthews, are you all right? I wasn't all right. I was so far from all right, I couldn't even see it from where I was sitting. You have security cameras? I managed to ask. Yes. In the waiting room and hallways. Let me get Patricia, our office manager. She can pull up the footage. Patricia was 45, another black woman, efficient and professional. She'd always remembered my name, asked about my job, made small talk while processing my co-pays. Now she looked at me with such sympathy it made me want to cry. Mrs. Matthews, I'm so sorry you're finding out this way. Let me show you what we have. She pulled up the security system on her computer, clicked through timestamps until she found what she was looking for. This is from today, 2:15 p.m. The video showed the waiting room from a high angle, grainy but clear enough. I watched Derek walk in, my husband of 6 years. 37 years old, handsome in his expensive suit, confident in the way he carried himself. He had his arm around a woman, a black woman, light-skinned, late 20s, very pregnant. Obviously showing wearing a maternity dress that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. She was beautiful. Young, glowing the way pregnant women supposedly glow. Derek had his arm around her waist. Protective. Intimate. The body language of a couple, not strangers. They walked to the reception desk together. The woman said something to Michelle and laughed. Derek handed over an insurance card. My insurance card. The woman filled out paperwork. Derek stood close, his hand occasionally touching her back. They sat in the waiting room. Derek's hand rested on her belly. I watched myself, except it wasn't me. It was this stranger. Lean into my husband while they waited. The intimacy was so casual, so natural, like they'd done this 100 times before. Like she belonged there with him instead of me. Patricia paused the video. Do you know who this woman is? No. I've never seen her before in my life. But even as I said it, something nagged at me. The designer bag she was carrying. I'd seen that bag before, in Derek's car, weeks ago. I'd asked about it and he'd said it belonged to a client who'd left it after a property showing. I'd believed him. God, I'd believed everything he told me. This is serious medical identity theft, Patricia said. It's a federal crime, insurance fraud. We need to contact the police and your insurance company immediately. Yes, I said. My voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. Call the police. I want to file a report for identity theft, insurance fraud, all of it. Patricia nodded. I'm calling now. And Mrs. Matthews? I'm truly sorry. No one should find out about infidelity this way. The word hung in the air. Infidelity. My husband was cheating on me, had been cheating on me for at least 5 months, probably longer. We've been trying to have a baby for 2 years. I heard myself say. Fertility treatments, doctor's appointments, thousands of dollars, months of tracking ovulation and timing intercourse and negative pregnancy tests. And he got her pregnant, and he was going to use my identity to terminate it so I'd never know. Nurse Johnson squeezed my hand. You didn't deserve this. None of this is your fault. But part of me wondered, if I'd been different, if I'd been more fun, less stressed about getting pregnant, if I'd been younger, prettier, better somehow, would Derek have still cheated? I thought about all those months of negative pregnancy tests, the way I'd cried each time my period came, the way Derek had held me and said, it's okay, we'll keep trying. Had he been lying even then? Had he been thinking about her while comforting me? How many times had he left our bed to text her? How many late nights at work had actually been nights with her? How long had I been the fool in my own marriage? The police arrived 20 minutes later. 2 Atlanta PD officers. Detective Williams was in his 40s, a tall black man with graying temples and sharp eyes. Officer Jackson was younger, 30s, a black woman with her hair in a neat bun, and an expression that suggested she'd seen too much already today. I gave my statement. Married 6 years, no knowledge of any affair. Never authorized anyone to use my identity for medical procedures or anything else. Detective Williams reviewed the security footage. Officer Jackson took photographs of the forged signatures and falsified medical forms. This is clear identity theft. Detective Williams said, we'll also pursue insurance fraud charges. Mrs. Matthews, do you know who the woman in the video is? No, but I'm going to find out. Do you have access to your husband's phone, computer, anything that might help us identify her? He keeps his phone locked, password protected, always has it with him. I thought about it, but his laptop is at home, In his office, Mrs. Matthews, I need to ask you something important. Detective Williams looked at me directly. Do you want to press charges against your husband? I didn't hesitate. Yes. For everything. Identity theft, insurance fraud, whatever else you can charge him with. Once we arrest him, there's no going back. My marriage ended the moment he committed fraud, using my identity. The moment he got another woman pregnant while we were trying to have a baby. Yes, I want to press charges. Officer Jackson spoke up. Do you have somewhere safe to stay tonight? Because we'll need to question your husband, and given the circumstances it might not be safe for you to be there. I'll go to my sister's house, but first I need to go home and get his laptop. Get any evidence I can find. I'll go with you, Officer Jackson offered, in case he comes home while you're there. My house was in an upscale neighborhood in North Atlanta. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a 2-car garage, the kind of house successful young couples buy when they're planning to have children. We'd bought it 4 years ago. Painted the extra bedrooms in neutral colors, ready to become nurseries. They'd stayed empty. Now I understood why Derek hadn't seemed as disappointed as I was about our fertility struggles. He'd been busy getting someone else pregnant. Officer Jackson followed me inside. How long do you think we have before your husband comes home? He usually works until 6. It's 3:30 now. We should have time. Derek's home office was on the first floor. Mahogany desk, leather chair, built-in bookshelves. The office of a successful real estate developer. His laptop was on the desk. I opened it. No password protection. Derek was arrogant enough to think I'd never look. Officer Jackson stood beside me as I opened his email. I searched for unusual names. Frequent contacts. Found correspondence with A. Harper. Going back 8 months. 8 months. He'd been cheating for 8 months. The early emails were flirtatious. Professional at first. Something about a property listing. Then crossing lines. Drinks tonight? Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. Then the emails got more explicit. Planning meetings at hotels. Discussions about keeping their relationship secret. I clicked on an email from 3 months ago. The subject line was blank, but the content made my stomach turn. Baby, I think we should keep it. I know we talked about termination, but seeing the ultrasound yesterday changed everything for me. That's our baby. But Simone can't know. Not yet. When the time is right, I'll leave her. We'll be a family. I promise. Our baby. He called it our baby. Not his and hers. Ours. Like they were already a family unit. Like I was the intruder in his life. Not her. I kept reading. Another email from 2 weeks ago. The abortion is scheduled for Thursday. I know it's hard. Amber. I know you want to keep the baby. But we can't right now. I can't afford 2 households' child support. A divorce settlement. Not yet. Once I'm divorced and financially stable, we'll have another baby. I promise. This is just temporary. We'll get through this together. Officer Jackson was photographing everything with her phone. This is good evidence. Keep looking. I opened their text messages. Hundreds of them. Daily conversations. Good morning texts. Good night texts. Photos of them together at restaurants, hotels, his office. Photos of her growing belly. Ultrasound images. Look how big she's getting. Can't believe we're at 18 weeks already. She? I said out loud. They were having a girl? Officer Jackson looked at me with sympathy but said nothing. I kept reading. Found a text from last week. Derek, I told Simone I have a conference in Dallas next weekend. We can go to that bed and breakfast in the mountains like you wanted. Amber, perfect. I've been dying to get away. Just you, me and baby girl. Next weekend. He told me about the Dallas conference. Said it was mandatory that he'd be gone Friday through Sunday. He was planning a romantic getaway with his pregnant mistress while I stayed home alone. I found financial records in his documents folder. Bank statements I'd never seen before. Derek had been paying rent on an apartment. $2,800 a month for the past 6 months. Address in Buckhead. One of the most expensive areas in Atlanta. That's where his mistress lived. In an apartment I was paying for. I found credit card statements. Our joint credit card, the one linked to our joint account funded by both our salaries. Jewelry purchases. $3,000 at a boutique jeweler. Not jewelry I'd ever received. A charge for $1,200 at a maternity boutique in Buckhead. The same boutique where I'd seen that expensive maternity dress on the security footage. Prenatal vitamins. Baby supplies. A $400 purchase at a baby furniture store with a note in Derek's calendar. Picked up crib for A's place. Derek had been using our joint money, my money, to support his mistress's pregnancy, to furnish a nursery for another woman's baby. While I was at home, obsessing over ovulation calendars and pregnancy tests, spending our money on fertility treatments, I'd been paying for another woman to carry my husband's child. The irony was suffocating. Officer Jackson was still photographing. Mrs. Matthews, this is more than enough evidence. We have the emails, the financial records, the security footage from the doctor's office. Your husband committed multiple felonies. I want him arrested, I said. My voice was steady now, cold. Today, I want him arrested today. We'll need to coordinate with Detective Williams. But yes, we can make that happen. I forwarded all the emails to my own account, downloaded the financial records to a flash drive. Then I opened Derek's photos. Couldn't help myself. Pictures of him and Amber, at restaurants, at his office, in bed together, her belly growing larger in each photo, his hand always resting on it, both of them smiling, looking happy, looking like a couple in love. One photo from a month ago showed them at what looked like a gender reveal party. Pink balloons everywhere, Amber holding a cake with pink frosting inside. It's a girl. The caption read, "Can't wait to meet our daughter." Our daughter. They'd had a gender reveal party. Celebrated finding out they were having a girl. While I was at home, crying over another negative pregnancy test, Derek was at a party celebrating the baby he'd made with someone else. I closed the laptop before I could see more. Officer Jackson touched my arm gently. "Let's get you out of here. Pack what you need. We'll come back for the rest later." I went upstairs to our bedroom. The bed we'd shared for 6 years. The room where we'd tried so many times to conceive. Every surface felt contaminated now. Had he brought her here? Had they slept in our bed while I was at work? I grabbed a suitcase from the closet, started throwing in clothes, toiletries, anything I'd need for a few days. Found a photo album on Derek's nightstand. Curious, I opened it. It was full of ultrasound photos. Pictures of Amber's growing belly. Photos of them together at what looked like prenatal appointments. He'd made an album, like a proud father preparing for his baby's arrival. There was even a hospital pre-registration form tucked inside. Amber Harper listed as patient. Derek Matthews listed as father. Estimated due date September 15th. 4 months away. In 4 months, Derek was planning to be a father. Just not with me. I threw the album across the room. It hit the wall and fell open. Ultrasound photos scattering across the floor. Officer Jackson appeared in the doorway. "Mrs. Matthews, you okay?" He has a photo album of her pregnancy. Ultrasound pictures. Hospital registration forms. He was planning to be there, for the birth, for everything, while telling me we just needed to keep trying, keep hoping, keep spending money on fertility treatments that were probably pointless. What if he was sabotaging our attempts? What if he never actually wanted to have a baby with me? Officer Jackson's expression was grim. "That's something you'll need to process with a therapist. But right now we need to focus on getting you somewhere safe and making sure your husband faces consequences." She was right. I couldn't fall apart yet. I zipped up my suitcase, grabbed my laptop, my important documents, everything I'd need. Officer Jackson helped me carry everything to my car. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now we set a trap," she said, "and your husband walks right into it." The plan was simple. I'd call Derek. Act normal. Tell him I needed to talk about something from my doctor's appointment today. He'd come home not knowing I'd already discovered everything, and the police would be waiting. I sat in my car outside the house, Officer Jackson in the passenger seat. Detective Williams had arrived and was parked down the street, waiting for my signal. I took a deep breath and called Derek. "Hey babe," he answered. Background noise, voices, traffic. He was still at work, still pretending everything was normal. "What's up? Can you come home early? I need to talk to you about something." I heard suspicion in his voice. "About what?" "Just something from my doctor's appointment today. Nothing serious, but I want to discuss it in person." I'd actually had a routine checkup scheduled for today, an annual exam I'd canceled last week because I was too busy with work, but Derek didn't know I'd canceled it. He thought I'd been to the doctor today. "Okay," he said, his voice relaxing, probably relieved I wasn't calling about anything related to the abortion clinic. "I can be home in 30 minutes. Everything all right? We'll talk when you get here." I hung up. Officer Jackson looked at me. "You're handling this incredibly well. Most people would be falling apart." "I'll fall apart later," I said. "Right now I need to make sure he faces consequences for what he did." Georgia is a one-party consent state for recording, right? Yes. You're allowed to record any conversation you're part of. We use recordings as evidence all the time. I set up my phone to record audio, placed it on the coffee table where it wouldn't be obvious but would capture everything. 25 minutes later, Derek's car pulled into the driveway. Officer Jackson and Detective Williams stepped into the kitchen. Out of sight but within hearing distance, Derek walked in. Handsome as always in his expensive suit, confident smile that I'd once found charming. Now it just looked fake. "Hey babe," he said, setting down his briefcase. His wedding ring caught the light. The ring I'd put on his finger 6 years ago. "What's going on? Everything okay with the doctor?" I'd rehearsed this, practiced staying calm. "Actually, something interesting happened today. Dr. Richardson's office called me." I watched Derek tense. Just slightly, his smile frozen. Most people wouldn't notice, but I noticed. I noticed everything now. "Oh yeah? What did they want?" "They wanted to reschedule my abortion appointment. The one you canceled this afternoon." Derek went completely white. All the blood drained from his face. His hand reached for the back of the sofa, steadying himself. His mouth opened but no sound came out. What? "I don't know what you're talking about." "Really? Because they have security footage of you walking into the clinic at 2:15 p.m. with a pregnant woman claiming to be me. Using my name, my insurance, my identity." "Simone? They showed me the footage, Derek. I watched you sign in with a woman who is very obviously pregnant. Very obviously not me. I watched you sit in the waiting room with your hand on her belly. I saw how comfortable you were together. How natural, like you'd done it 100 times before." He started backing toward the door, fight or flight kicking in. "I can explain." "Explain what? That you got your mistress pregnant? That you've been having an affair for at least 8 months? That you were going to use my identity to terminate her pregnancy so I'd never find out?" "It's not what it looks like. I saw the emails, Derek. All of them. Every single message between you and Amber Harper going back 8 months. The hotel reservations, the discussions about the pregnancy, the gender reveal party for your daughter." His face went from white to gray. "I know about the apartment in Buckhead. The $2,800 a month you've been paying for the past 6 months. Out of our joint account. My money. I know you bought her a $3,000 engagement ring, maternity clothes, prenatal vitamins, baby furniture. I know you've been using our joint credit card. My money to support your mistress and her pregnancy. I paid for another woman to carry your child, Derek. While I was at home spending our money on fertility treatments, trying to get pregnant with you." His defensive walls went up. "Simone, you have to understand, we've been trying for 2 years. So you cheated on me because we're having trouble conceiving? That's your excuse? Do you know what it's like?" His voice rose. "Waiting every month, hoping, taking those stupid fertility tests, timing everything perfectly, and failing, over and over and over. Do you know what that does to a man? To feel like you're failing at the most basic biological function?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So this is my fault?" "I met Amber at a real estate conference 8 months ago. She was easy, fun. No pressure about babies or ovulation calendars or perfectly timed sex. And then she got pregnant. First time, just like that." The words were like knives, each one cutting deeper. "It proved something important, that I can have children, that I'm not the problem, that maybe the issue isn't me, maybe it's you." I stood up. My whole body was shaking, but not with sadness, with rage. Pure white-hot rage. "You're blaming our fertility struggles on me? After you cheated? After you got another woman pregnant while we were trying to have a baby together?" "I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying it made me realize that maybe we've been looking at this wrong. Maybe we should have considered that your body—" "Stop. Stop talking right now." But he couldn't stop. Like a dam had broken and years of resentment were flooding out. "You were obsessed, Simone. Those stupid apps tracking your cycles. The thermometers. The ovulation tests. Sex became a job. A scheduled appointment. Do you know how that makes a man feel? Like a sperm donor instead of a husband?" Amber made me feel like a man again. Young, alive. Like I wasn't just a biological function failing to perform. I was speechless. Absolutely speechless. This man I'd loved, trusted, built a life with was standing in our living room blaming me for his affair. Blaming me for getting another woman pregnant. Blaming me for everything. "You were failing, Derek," I said quietly. "You were failing as a husband, as a man, as a partner, but not in the way you think. You weren't failing because you couldn't get me pregnant. You were failing because instead of communicating with me about the stress of fertility treatments, you ran away and had an affair. And now you failed as a criminal too, because what you did today, that's identity theft, insurance fraud, federal crimes. The police have already been contacted. They have all the evidence. The footage, the emails, the financial records, everything. His face changed. Panic replacing defensiveness. You called the police. The knock on the door was perfectly timed. Detective Williams and Officer Jackson emerged from the kitchen where they'd been listening to every word. Derek Matthews, you're under arrest for identity theft and insurance fraud. Derek started shouting as Detective Williams read him his Miranda rights. Simone, you can't do this. I'm your husband. You stopped being my husband when you committed fraud using my identity. I said. My voice was ice. We can work this out. Marriage counseling, therapy. We can fix this. You got another woman pregnant while we were trying to have a baby for 2 years. You used my identity to cover up your affair. You stole thousands of dollars from our joint account. There's nothing to fix. Officer Jackson pulled Derek's hands behind his back, snapped on handcuffs. The metal clicked shut with a finality that felt like an ending. I'll lose my real estate license, my business, everything. You should have thought of that before you committed multiple felonies. Simone, please, don't do this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But his eyes told a different story. He wasn't sorry for what he'd done. He was sorry he got caught. Sorry his comfortable double life had been exposed. Sorry he was facing consequences. They led him toward the door. Derek was still shouting, trying to twist his body to look at me. This is insane. You're overreacting. People cheat. It happens. You don't send your husband to jail over a mistake. This wasn't a mistake, I said. This was calculated, premeditated. You used my identity to commit fraud. That's not an affair, that's a crime. Detective Williams opened the front door. Our neighbors were outside watching. Word would spread quickly through the neighborhood. Good. Let everyone know what Derek had done. They put him in the back of the police car. I watched through the window as they drove away. Watched my marriage end in handcuffs and Miranda rights. After the police car disappeared, I collapsed onto the sofa. Officer Jackson stayed with me, sat beside me in silence for a long moment. Is there someone who can come be with you? She finally asked. My sister, I'll call her. Mrs. Matthews, you're incredibly strong. Most women wouldn't have had the courage to press charges against their husband. They'd try to save the marriage, make excuses for him. I'm not strong, I said. I'm just done being a victim. Done letting him control the narrative. Done letting him make me feel like his betrayal was somehow my fault. He stood in our living room and blamed me for our fertility struggles. Blamed me for his affair. Like I drove him to cheat by wanting to have a baby. My voice broke. The adrenaline was wearing off, and the reality was crashing over me. 2 years. 2 years of trying, of hoping, of crying every time my period came, of spending thousands on treatments, of timing everything perfectly, and the whole time he was with her. Getting her pregnant, planning a life with her. He had a photo album of ultrasound pictures in our bedroom, a gender reveal party for their baby, a hospital registration form with his name as the father. While I was at home thinking we were in this together, Officer Jackson's hand was on my shoulder. None of this is your fault. You know that, right? I know. Intellectually, I know. But it doesn't feel that way. It will. With time and therapy and distance, you'll see clearly that Derek's choices were his own. That his betrayal says everything about him and nothing about you. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Call your sister, Officer Jackson said gently. And call a lawyer. You're going to need both. I called my sister Jasmine. Simone, what's wrong? You sound terrible. Derek's been arrested. Can I come stay with you? Arrested? For what? I'll explain when I get there. But Jasmine, he cheated on me. Got his mistress pregnant. Used my identity to schedule an abortion for her. Silence on the line. Then I'm going to kill him. The police already arrested him. I'm going to kill him anyway. Come over right now. Bring wine, bring everything you need. You're staying as long as you want. Jasmine was 32, 3 years younger than me. A lawyer specializing in family law and divorce. If anyone could help me navigate this nightmare, it was her. I drove to her apartment in Midtown. A nice one-bedroom she'd bought a few years ago when she made partner at her firm. She opened the door before I could knock, pulled me into a hug, and finally, I let myself fall apart. I cried in my sister's arms. Cried for my marriage, for the future I'd planned, for the children I'd wanted, For the 2 years I'd spent trying to get pregnant while my husband was building a family with someone else, right? Until I had no tears left. Then Jasmine made me tea, sat me on her couch and said, "Tell me everything." So I did. We sat on her couch for hours. I told her everything, the phone call from Dr. Richardson's office, the security footage, the emails, the apartment in Buckhead, the credit card charges, the photo album of ultrasound pictures, the gender reveal party, the hospital registration form, Derek's arrest. Jasmine listened without interrupting. When I finished, her expression was murderous. I never liked Derek. Always thought he was too smooth, too charming, like he was performing instead of being real. But this is beyond anything I imagined. He blamed me. Jasmine stood in our living room and blamed me for his affair. Said our fertility treatments made him feel like a failure, like a sperm donor, like I drove him to cheat. He's garbage, Jasmine said flatly. Absolute garbage. And tomorrow we're going to start destroying him legally. Tomorrow? Tomorrow. Tonight you rest. But tomorrow, we file for divorce. We freeze all joint accounts. We start building a case for you to get everything. And we go talk to his mistress. What? You need to confront her, need to know if she was part of the fraud or just a stupid girl who believed his lies. Either way, she's going to cooperate with the police investigation, or we'll make sure she faces charges too. I thought about it. Part of me didn't want to see Amber, didn't want to face the woman who was carrying Derek's child. But another part, the part that was angry, that wanted justice, needed to look her in the eye, needed to make sure she understood that actions have consequences. Okay, I said. Tomorrow, we confront her tomorrow. Good. Now drink your tea. Try to sleep. Tomorrow we go to war. That night, lying in Jasmine's guest room, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying everything. Every moment I'd missed. Every sign I should have seen. The late nights Derek claimed were work. The business trips that probably weren't real. The times he'd been distant, distracted. The way he'd stopped being as disappointed as me when each pregnancy test came back negative. I'd attributed it to him trying to be strong for me. Trying not to add his disappointment to mine, but really, he'd stopped caring because he was already getting what he wanted elsewhere. How many times had he left our bed to text her? How many times had he looked at me and thought about her? How many lies had he told? I thought about the Miami trip. Our anniversary. I'd spent 2 days alone in a hotel room, waiting for Derek to join me, crying because I was supposed to be ovulating and we were missing our window, while Derek was with Amber, getting her pregnant. The cruelty of it was suffocating. And then today, finding out the way I did. A phone call about an abortion appointment. What if Dr. Richardson's office hadn't called? What if Nurse Johnson hadn't been suspicious? The abortion would have happened. Amber wouldn't be pregnant anymore. Derek would have hidden everything, and I'd never have known. He would have kept cheating, kept lying, maybe gotten her pregnant again later, and I would have kept trying to conceive. Kept hoping, kept failing, never knowing the truth. The thought made me feel physically ill. Around 3 a.m. I gave up on sleep, went to Jasmine's kitchen, made tea, sat at her dining table in the dark. Jasmine found me there an hour later. Can't sleep? Keep thinking about all the lies. All the times he looked me in the eye and lied. How did I not see it? Jasmine sat across from me. Because you trusted him. Because that's what marriage is supposed to be. Trust. He exploited that trust. That's on him. Not you. He has a daughter on the way, Jasmine. A baby girl due in 4 months. He was going to be a father, just not with me. Good riddance. You don't want to have a baby with a man who commits fraud and blames you for his own failures. I know, but it still hurts. We tried for 2 years and he got her pregnant immediately. That doesn't mean the fertility issues were your fault. Bodies are complicated. Timing is complicated. Sometimes it just doesn't work with one person and does with another. It doesn't mean you're broken. Then why does it feel like I am? Jasmine reached across the table, took my hand. Because you just found out your husband of 6 years has been betraying you for 8 months. Because you discovered it in the worst possible way. Because he blamed you for his own choices. You're allowed to feel broken right now, but you're not actually broken. Simone, you're hurt. There's a difference. What if I never have children? What if the fertility treatments never work and Derek moves on and has kids with Amber and I'm left alone? Then you'll still have a full life. You'll still have a career you love, a sister who adores you, friends, options. You can adopt, foster, be the world's best aunt. There are lots of ways to have children in your life. And honestly, right now you need to focus on surviving this, not on hypothetical futures. She was right. I knew she was right, but the pain was still overwhelming. I want to confront Amber today, I said. I need to. Okay, let me make coffee and we'll go. The apartment in Buckhead was everything I'd imagined. Luxury high-rise, doorman, valet parking, the kind of building young professionals aspired to. The kind Derek and I could only afford because I made good money as a marketing director. Except, this wasn't for us. This was for her. Jasmine and I took the elevator to the 8th floor. Found apartment 812. I knocked, my heart pounding. Footsteps. Then the door opened. Amber Harper stood there. The woman from the security footage, light-skinned, beautiful, very pregnant. She was wearing expensive loungewear, the kind I'd seen charged to our credit card. Her hair was done, her nails were manicured. She looked well cared for, pampered. With my money, she saw me and her eyes widened. Recognition and fear. You're Simone, and you're Amber, the woman who stole my identity to get an abortion. I didn't steal anything, I didn't know. He said he'd handle everything. Jasmine pushed past her into the apartment. I followed. The place was beautiful. Modern furniture, big windows overlooking the city, designer everything. A nursery was visible through an open door, crib already assembled, pink decorations, a rocking chair. Derek had built a nursery for their baby. Did you know he was married when you started sleeping with him? I asked. Amber looked defensive. Trapped? Yes. But he said you two were basically over, that you were cold and distant, that you couldn't give him what he needed. And what did he need? A 27-year-old mistress? I'm not a mistress. Her voice rose. Derek and I are in a real relationship. We love each other. We're having a baby together. You're sleeping with a married man, Jasmine said coldly. That's literally the definition of a mistress. Amber's hands went to her pregnant belly. Protective Derek is leaving you. He's going to divorce you and we're going to be together. Raise this baby together. He told me he loves me, that I'm his soulmate, that you two haven't been happy for years. I wanted to laugh, or scream, or both. Derek is in jail. Amber, he was arrested yesterday for identity theft and insurance fraud. Her face went pale. That's not possible. He used my name and insurance to schedule your abortion, without my knowledge or consent. That's a federal crime. I have the police reports, the security footage, the emails where he told you he'd handle everything legally. Did you really think you could impersonate me and there'd be no consequences? Amber was shaking now. He said it would be simple, that his wife's insurance was better than mine, that no one would know, that it was just paperwork. I didn't want the abortion. Tears started falling. I wanted to keep the baby, but Derek said we couldn't afford it right now, that we had to wait until he was divorced and financially stable. He promised me we'd have another baby later, but this was just temporary. He's been paying for this apartment, she continued, for my clothes, for prenatal care, for the nursery, for everything. I thought he had his own money. He doesn't, I said. He's been using our joint credit card, money I earned. Every time he bought you jewelry or paid your rent or furnished your nursery, he was spending my money. Amber looked like she might be sick. He told me he was successful, that his business was doing well, that he could afford to take care of me and the baby. His business is fine, Jasmine said, but he was using his wife's income to fund your lifestyle. You've been living off his wife's money for 6 months. She pulled out her phone, showed Amber the credit card statements, the charges at maternity boutiques, the baby furniture, the jewelry, all charged to an account with my name on it. I didn't know, Amber whispered. I swear I didn't know. Miss Harper, Jasmine said, switching to her lawyer voice. You could be charged as an accomplice to fraud. You signed documents with someone else's name. You used someone else's insurance information. Whether you knew all the details or not, you participated in identity theft. That's a crime. Amber started panicking. I didn't know it was fraud. Derek told me it was legal. He said he'd handle everything properly. Here's what's going to happen, I said. My voice was steady, cold. You're going to write a detailed statement about everything Derek told you. Every conversation about using my identity. Every text, every email, every lie he told you. You're going to cooperate fully with the police investigation. You're going to testify if needed. And then you're going to leave Atlanta. Leave Derek's company. Leave this apartment he can't afford to pay for anymore. Because if you don't, I will make sure you're charged with every crime possible. And I will sue you in civil court for every penny Derek spent on you. Amber was sobbing now. Where am I supposed to go? I'm 5 months pregnant. I don't have any savings. I gave up my apartment to move here. My parents don't even know about Derek. They think I'm single. They're going to be so disappointed. That's not my problem, I said. You chose to sleep with a married man. You chose to let him support you. You chose to sign documents with my name. You made your choices. Now face the consequences. But my baby, your baby will be fine. You'll figure it out. Women have been having babies in difficult circumstances for thousands of years. Derek will pay child support eventually. Though it won't be much. Since he lost his real estate license and is working retail now. Amber's eyes widened. He lost his license? Arrested for fraud. His company fired him. The real estate commission is reviewing his case. He'll never work in real estate again. So whatever life you thought you were building with him, it's gone. I turned to leave. Jasmine handed Amber a business card. My law office. Email the statement within 48 hours. Include everything: dates, conversations, text messages, everything Derek told you about using Simone's identity. If you cooperate, I'll recommend the DA go easy on you. If you don't, you'll face the full force of the law. We left Amber crying in her expensive apartment. The apartment she'd have to vacate soon because Derek couldn't pay for it anymore. In the elevator, Jasmine looked at me. You okay? No. But I will be. She didn't know about the fraud. Not really. Derek manipulated her like he manipulated you. I know. But I still can't feel sorry for her. She knew he was married. She chose this. Fair enough. We drove back to Jasmine's apartment in silence. Tomorrow, the divorce proceedings would begin. The financial untangling, the dividing of assets. But today I'd confronted both of them, Derek and Amber. Made sure they understood there would be consequences. Today I'd chosen justice over forgiveness. And I'd never felt more certain of a decision in my life. The next few weeks were a blur. Police statements, lawyer meetings, divorce paperwork. Derek was released on bail after 2 days. His parents posted bond. He tried calling. I blocked his number. He tried showing up at work. Security escorted him out. He sent letters. I threw them away unopened. Jasmine handled everything. Filed for divorce. Froze joint accounts. Started the asset division. You're entitled to half of everything, she explained. The house, his retirement, investments, plus alimony. I don't want alimony. Take it. You've earned it. 3 years at his income level before the arrest. The criminal case moved forward. Amber cooperated. Wrote a detailed statement about everything Derek had told her, including the fact that he'd explicitly said using my insurance was the easiest way, and that Simone will never know. Premeditation. That made it worse. The DA offered a plea deal. Plead guilty, accept 2 years probation, pay $10,000 in fines, pay restitution to the insurance company. Derek took it. The alternative was trial and possible jail time. His real estate license was suspended indefinitely, then revoked permanently. His company fired him. The scandal was too much. He moved back in with his parents. Got a job at a furniture store. From six-figure real estate developer to retail sales at 37. Amber moved back to South Carolina. Her parents took her in, though they were furious. She'd have the baby there, alone. Derek would pay child support. Eventually, when he could afford more than the court-ordered minimum of $600 a month, the story made local news. Real estate developer arrested for insurance fraud. Derek's name. His mugshot. The details of what he'd done. His reputation was destroyed, and I filed for divorce, got therapy, started rebuilding. 6 months later I was free. Divorced. Living in my house. Moving forward. I'd met someone new. Marcus. An architect. Honest. Real. Taking it slow. Building something honest. I was healing. Not healed. But healing. And that was enough. I'm Simone Matthews. 35 years old. My doctor's office called about an abortion appointment I never made. My husband had used my identity to schedule it for his pregnant mistress. In one phone call my world exploded, but I didn't fall apart. I called the police, pressed charges, made sure Derek faced every consequence. He lost everything. License, job, reputation, marriage. I lost a marriage too. But I gained something more important. My freedom. My truth. My strength. Derek thought he could use my identity without consequences. He was wrong. And now he's paying the price. While I'm rebuilding, thriving, living. That's not revenge. That's justice. And it feels like freedom.